They turned her 80th birthday into the day they tried to erase her. The cake was still warm from the grocery bakery box. 2 bright candles shaped like an 8 and a 0 flickered on the coffee table like tiny warning lights. Evelyn Carter sat on the edge of her old floral couch, hands folded in her lap, trying to smile because that's what mothers do, even when their own children are standing over them like strangers. "Honestly, Mom," Linda said, sliding a stack of papers across the table like they were just another birthday card, "you're not useful anymore, so just sign and make our lives easier." Evelyn blinked. The words hit her slow, like cold water. Not useful anymore. She looked from Linda's neat hair and polished nails to the tabs on the documents. Yellow, sticky notes, places marked with a pen, her name typed in bold. Mark didn't sit. He hovered near the hallway with his arms crossed, eyes fixed on the carpet, like if he stared hard enough he wouldn't have to see his mother's face. Ray, Linda's husband, stood by the porch door with his phone in his hand, watching the room the way a man watches an auction. Impatient, hungry. "You don't even drive anymore," Ray added, voice smooth and quiet. "You don't need a house this big. We can handle things for you. We're family. Family." Can you imagine being 80 years old and hearing that in your own living room? Being told you're basically in the way, like a broken chair they can't wait to carry to the curb. Evelyn's fingers trembled around the cheap plastic pen Linda pushed toward her. The pen had little blue stars on it, the kind a bank gives away. Her eyes blurred, not from age, but from shock, from the way her daughter didn't even try to soften it. "Mom, come on," Linda said, voice sharp now. "Stop making this dramatic." In the next room, the grandkids laughed at something on TV, a cartoon. Bright voices. No idea what was happening 10 feet away. No idea their grandma was being cornered on her birthday. Evelyn tried to read the top page. She caught phrases: power of attorney, transfer of property, long-term care planning. Her mouth went dry. "Linda," she whispered, "why are you doing this today?" Linda's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Because you'll say no tomorrow." Mark finally spoke, barely above a mumble. "It's for the best, Mom. You need help." Help. Evelyn had spent her whole life helping, holding things together, stretching a paycheck, patching torn knees and broken hearts. She had been the kind of mother who made sure everyone else ate before she did. And now, on the day she turned 80, they were asking her to sign away the last thing that was hers. But what none of them knew was that Evelyn had already noticed something, a small detail, a missing piece, something that didn't fit. And that night, after the candles burned out and the house went quiet, she would uncover a secret that would change the destiny of this family in a way Linda and Ray could never control. Stay with me to the end of this story, because the truth Evelyn finds on her birthday will hit you right in the chest. And if you've ever loved a parent, you'll want to see what she decides to do. If you're here for stories that matter, hit like and subscribe, and let's go back to where Evelyn's life really began. Evelyn had not always been a frail woman with soft hands and slow steps. In the late 1960s, she was 22, working mornings at a small diner off Route 20 in Toledo, Ohio. She poured drip coffee from a glass pot that never seemed to empty. She knew regulars by name. She knew who liked 2 sugars, who wanted their bacon extra crisp, who needed quiet more than conversation. She met Harold Carter on a rainy Tuesday. He came in wearing a factory jacket, wet at the shoulders, hair messed up, looking tired in a way young men shouldn't look tired. He ordered coffee, black, and a slice of pie he barely touched. When Evelyn brought the check, he looked up at her like he was seeing something steady for the first time in a long time. They were not a fancy couple. There were no big surprises, no fancy rings, just a slow building. 2 people choosing each other day after day. They married in a small church with a potluck after. Harold's mom brought a casserole. Evelyn's aunt brought a sheet cake with too much frosting. They laughed. They danced. They promised. And Evelyn meant it. When the babies came, Evelyn left the diner job. Harold worked long hours at the plant. The money was never enough, but Evelyn made it stretch like magic. She learned to shop sales at Kroger and Meijer, clipping coupons at the kitchen table late at night while the house finally quieted down. She learned the sound of a baby's cry that meant hunger and the one that meant fear. She learned how to hold a toddler on her hip while stirring a pot with the other hand. She learned how to smile when the car wouldn't start in January, and the wind cut through her coat like a blade. Their little house had a front porch with peeling paint and a squeaky swing. On summer evenings, Evelyn would sit out there with Harold, barefoot, watching fireflies, sharing a bowl of cheap ice cream. Sometimes they didn't talk. Sometimes the silence was the best part. Years moved fast. Linda was bright and stubborn, always wanting more. Mark was quieter, a boy who watched everything, who liked to fix things with his hands. Evelyn loved them both the same. She gave them everything she had, even when it meant she went without. She kept a wooden box in the top drawer of her dresser. Inside were small pieces of a life, a hospital bracelet from the day Linda was born, a folded letter Harold wrote when he was on a work trip, telling her he missed her so much he couldn't sleep, a few old photos with corners worn soft from being held too many times. There was also a key in that box, a simple brass key taped to a faded index card with Harold's handwriting on it, for when you need to know. Evelyn had never used it, not because she forgot it was there. She didn't forget. She thought about it sometimes late at night when the house creaked and the world felt heavy. But she told herself she didn't need to know. Whatever Harold meant, it could wait. Their life was busy. Their kids were growing. Bills were coming. The future felt like something you didn't question too hard, as long as everyone was breathing. Then came the year everything shifted. Harold got sick. Not sudden, not dramatic, just a cough that didn't go away, a tiredness that didn't leave. Evelyn watched her strong husband become thinner, quieter, like the life was slowly stepping back from him. She sat beside him in hospital rooms that smelled like disinfectant and stale coffee. She held his hand when the doctors talked in careful voices. She prayed in waiting rooms. She learned how helpless a person can feel when they love someone and can't save them. When Harold died, the house felt too big, too quiet. The porch swing creaked without him. The drip coffee maker gurgled in the morning, and the sound made Evelyn's throat tighten. Linda and Mark were adults by then. They promised they'd take care of her. They promised she wouldn't be alone. For a while they tried. Linda moved to the suburbs and married Ray, a man with a clean smile and a habit of talking like he already owned the room. Mark stayed closer, bouncing between jobs, always saying he was figuring things out. Evelyn stayed in the old house because it was full of Harold, his tools in the garage, his worn flannel hanging in the closet, the little burn mark on the kitchen counter from the time he tried to fix the toaster, and she told him to stop before he burned the house down. That house was not just wood and nails. It was her whole history, and now, sitting in that same living room on her 80th birthday, Evelyn felt the ground shifting under her again. Only this time the danger wasn't illness. It was her own blood. Linda leaned closer. "Sign it, Mom. We don't have all day." Evelyn stared at the paper. Her pen hovered. Her heart beat hard in her ears. And somewhere upstairs, in the top drawer of her dresser, that old brass key sat waiting, taped to Harold's handwriting. "For when you need to know." Evelyn swallowed, set the pen down, and forced a small smile. "I need a minute," she said softly. "I'm going to get my sweater. I'm cold." Linda rolled her eyes. "Fine. But don't take forever." Evelyn stood slowly, one hand on the arm of the couch. Her knees ached, her back ached, but her mind was suddenly sharp, because for the first time in years she knew exactly what she needed to know, and she was finally going to use the key. Evelyn moved through the hallway like she was made of glass. Each step up the stairs felt louder than it should have. The wood creaked in the same spots it always had, like the house was whispering, "You're not alone. I remember." Halfway up, she paused and looked down toward the living room. Linda's voice floated up, irritated, talking to Ray like Evelyn wasn't even in the house. "She's doing that helpless thing again," Linda muttered. "It's always a performance." Ray answered in a low tone Evelyn couldn't make out. Mark said nothing. Evelyn kept climbing. Upstairs smelled faintly of old laundry detergent and cedar from the closet. She reached her bedroom and closed the door gently, not fully, just enough to make it look normal if someone glanced up the stairs. Her dresser sat where it had sat for decades, The top drawer stuck a little on the right side. Harold used to promise he'd fix it next weekend, and he never did. Evelyn placed her hand on the drawer, breathed in, and pulled. Inside were folded sweaters, a stack of church bulletins, and a small wooden box tucked in the back corner like it had been hiding on purpose. Her hands shook as she lifted it out. The box was plain pine, no lock, the kind you could buy at a craft store. But to Evelyn it felt heavy, not because of what it weighed, but because of what it meant. She sat on the edge of the bed and opened it. The old pieces of her life looked back at her. A photo of Harold holding baby Linda, his face tired but proud. A second photo of Mark on a bicycle with training wheels, grinning like he owned the whole street. A hospital bracelet, yellowed with time. A dried-out corsage from a dance Evelyn had gone to with Harold before they were even married. And there it was, the brass key, still taped to the faded index card. For when you need to know. Evelyn peeled the tape slowly like she was afraid the paper might tear and take the past with it. Under the card was an envelope she had never noticed before. It was thin, tucked so flat it blended into the bottom of the box. Her name was written on the front in Harold's handwriting, Evelyn Carter. Her throat tightened. She pressed the envelope to her chest for a second, like a reflex, like she could pull Harold back into the room if she held it hard enough. Then she opened it. Inside was a letter and another smaller envelope, sealed. On the smaller one Harold had written, "Open only if they try to take the house." Evelyn's eyes filled. "Oh, Harold," she whispered, voice breaking. "You knew." She unfolded the letter first. The paper was thin, the kind Harold used for work notes. His handwriting was the same as always, steady, a little slanted, practical. "Evelyn, if you're reading this, it means you're scared, or someone is pushing you, or both. I'm sorry I'm not there to stand between you and that kind of cruelty. But I need you to listen to me, even if you're angry at me for what I'm about to say. I love our kids. I always will. But love doesn't mean blindness. Ray is not a good man. He smiles like a salesman, talks like a lawyer, and watches people the way a hunter watches a field. Linda loves him. That makes her easy to steer. And Mark means well, but he avoids hard things until they become disasters. I set something up quietly because I couldn't live with the idea of you losing everything after you gave everything. You never liked talking about money. You always said, as long as the lights are on and the kids are okay, we're fine. But I saw how fast the world changes when someone smells an inheritance. So here's what you do. Go to Huntington Bank on Monroe Street. Ask for the safe deposit box under the name H. Carter Trust. Use the key. Inside you'll find papers and instructions. You'll also find the name of the person you can trust if you feel alone. Donna Whitaker. She's the neighbor who brought you soup after my funeral. She's stubborn, honest, and she doesn't scare easy. If Linda or Ray ever tries to make you sign something, do not do it. Smile if you have to. Stall if you have to, but don't sign. Because the moment you do, you hand them the steering wheel. I'm sorry I kept secrets. I did it to protect you. You are not useful. You are the reason our family ever had anything worth keeping. Always, Harold. Evelyn lowered the letter, breathing like she'd run a mile. Downstairs, Linda was telling someone on the phone, "Yeah, we're doing it today," like she was scheduling a dentist appointment. Evelyn stared at the smaller sealed envelope. Open only if they try to take the house. Her thumb traced the edge of it. Her whole life, she'd been the kind of woman who avoided conflict, who kept the peace, who took the extra shift, swallowed the hurt, apologized first, even when she hadn't done anything wrong. But sitting there with Harold's words in her hands, Evelyn felt something else rise in her chest. Not anger, clarity. She opened the smaller envelope. Inside were copies of documents, a trust, a will, and a letter from a lawyer with a Toledo address. There was also a printed note with a bold heading, "Springing Protection Clause, activated upon coercion or duress." Evelyn didn't understand every legal word, but she understood the message. Harold had built a wall, a legal wall, and Linda and Ray had just walked right into it. She flipped through the pages. One section made her breath catch. If any beneficiary attempts to coerce, threaten, or manipulate Evelyn Carter into transferring property or financial control, said beneficiary forfeits any claim to the residence at 4177 Willow Bend Drive and any discretionary family trust distributions. Evelyn read it twice, then a third time. Forfeits. Any claim. Linda and Ray weren't just asking for the house. They were risking everything. And suddenly Evelyn understood why Linda had chosen today. Why the papers downstairs looked official but didn't have a lawyer present. Why Ray kept glancing at his phone like he was waiting for a confirmation. They thought she was alone. They thought she was confused. They thought 80 meant harmless. Evelyn heard footsteps on the stairs. Her heart jumped. The bedroom door shifted slightly, like someone touched the knob without turning it. "Mom," Linda called, too sweet now. "You okay up there?" Evelyn swallowed hard and moved fast, faster than she thought she could. She slid the papers back into the envelope, tucked the key into her cardigan pocket, and shoved the wooden box behind a stack of folded sweaters. Then she sat on the bed and forced her voice to sound small. "Just a minute," she called. "My hands are stiff. I'm trying to find the right sweater." The doorknob turned a little, just a test. Evelyn's stomach tightened, but the door didn't open. Linda huffed. "Hurry up." Footsteps retreated. Evelyn exhaled slowly, eyes closed, one hand pressed to her chest where Harold's letter had been. For a moment, she let herself remember. Harold on the porch swing, tapping ash into a coffee can, telling her, "If I ever go first, you promise me you'll keep living, not just existing." Evelyn in the kitchen, late at night, washing dishes so quietly the kids wouldn't wake up, hearing Harold's tired steps behind her and feeling his arms wrap around her waist. The day Linda graduated, Evelyn's hands shaking as she clapped, proud enough to burst. The day Mark moved out, pretending it didn't hurt. She had carried so many moments alone. Not this one. Evelyn stood, smoothed her hair in the mirror, and looked at her own face. She saw age, wrinkles, softness, but she also saw a woman who had survived things that would have broken other people. A woman who had buried her husband and still found the strength to make breakfast the next morning. A woman who had loved children even when they didn't deserve it. She walked back downstairs slowly, cardigan on, the brass key warm against her side. Linda's eyes snapped to her pocket for a second, so fast Evelyn almost missed it. Then Linda smiled again. "There you are. Ready to sign?" Evelyn lowered herself onto the couch with a careful groan, playing the part they wanted her to play. She picked up the pen, let her hand tremble a little, and then she looked up at Linda with a gentle, tired smile. "I'm going to," Evelyn said softly. "I just need to read it first. I want to do it right." Ray's jaw tightened. "There's nothing to read." "Oh," Evelyn said, still calm, still sweet. "Then you won't mind waiting." For the first time all afternoon, the room went quiet, and in Evelyn's pocket the key felt like a heartbeat, because she already knew what she was going to do next. She was going to make them think they were winning, and tomorrow morning, before anyone could stop her, she was going to walk into that bank on Monroe Street and open the box Harold had left behind. And whatever was inside, it was going to decide who this family really was. Evelyn barely slept. That night, after Linda and Ray finally left, the house didn't feel quiet in a peaceful way. It felt like the quiet right before a storm. The grandkids had hugged her goodbye and run out the front door like it was any other Sunday. Mark lingered a little longer, standing in the kitchen like he wanted to say something, like he knew something was wrong but didn't have the courage to name it. "You sure you're okay, Mom?" he asked, eyes still avoiding hers. Evelyn kept her voice gentle. "I'm fine, sweetheart. You go on. It's late." He nodded, relieved too quickly, and left. After the taillights disappeared, Evelyn locked the door, checked it twice, and stood in the living room staring at the birthday cake like it belonged to someone else. 80. She blew the candles out alone. In bed, she listened to the house settle. The heat clicked on. A pipe knocked. The wind brushed the siding. And every time she closed her eyes, she saw Linda's face leaning in, cold and impatient. Not useful anymore. Evelyn didn't cry. Not yet. She just kept one hand on the brass key in her cardigan pocket, like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Before sunrise she got up and made coffee with the drip coffee maker Harold had bought years ago, the one with a cracked plastic handle. The kitchen light buzzed. The coffee smell filled the room, familiar and steady, like muscle memory. She toasted 2 slices of bread even though she only ate one. Habit. A life of cooking for someone else doesn't disappear overnight. She sat at the table and looked out the window at her porch, at the yard dusted with frost, at the old bird feeder Harold used to refill. Then she made a decision that felt both terrifying and simple. She was not waiting for Linda to come back with more papers. She was not waiting for Ray to raise his voice. She was not waiting for Mark to figure it out. She grabbed her purse, slipped on her coat, and walked out into the cold Ohio morning. Her car was old, a faded sedan with a slow starter and a heater that took forever. The driver's seat still had an indentation where Harold used to sit when he drove them to church. Evelyn's hands shook as she turned the key in the ignition, not because she couldn't do it, but because she couldn't believe she had to. She pulled out of the driveway just as the sky started turning pale gray. On the way to Monroe Street, she passed familiar places like they were part of a map inside her bones. A Meyer parking lot that was empty this early, a gas station with one lonely car at the pump, a diner she used to work at, now a different name but the same shape. Evelyn parked across from Huntington Bank and sat for a moment with her hands on the steering wheel. This was the moment Harold had planned for, and if he planned it, that meant he expected something ugly would come for her. Evelyn stepped out and walked inside. The bank smelled like paper, carpet cleaner, and warm air. Everything was quiet and bright, the kind of place where people speak softly like money can hear them. A young teller looked up. "Good morning, ma'am." Evelyn forced a smile. "Good morning." She had to ask for help twice before someone understood what she meant. A manager came out, a woman in her 40s with a tidy bun and kind eyes. "Mrs. Carter?" the manager asked. "I'm Angela. How can I help you today?" Evelyn's throat tightened. "My husband, Harold Carter. He told me I might need to access a safe deposit box. H. Carter Trust." Angela's expression shifted just slightly, like she recognized something she wasn't allowed to comment on. "Yes, ma'am. We do have that on file. Do you have identification?" Evelyn handed over her driver's license with fingers that didn't want to cooperate. A few minutes later, Angela led her down a hallway to a heavy door that looked like it belonged in a movie. Evelyn's heart beat hard. She wondered for a second if Linda had already been here, if Ray had already tried something. What if she was too late? Angela opened the vault, and the cold metal air hit Evelyn's face. They stopped at a small box. Angela placed it on the table. "Whenever you're ready," she said, then stepped back respectfully. Evelyn pulled the brass key from her pocket and stared at it. "For when you need to know." She put it into the lock and turned. The click sounded loud in that quiet room. Inside was a folder, thick and organized, and a small spiral notebook with Harold's handwriting on the cover. There was also a sealed envelope with a bright red sticker across it. "Do not open until you are safe." Evelyn's hands went numb. She opened the notebook first. The first page was Harold's handwriting, clear and firm. "Evelyn, if you're reading this, then it's happening." Below it were names, dates, and notes that made her stomach twist. Linda, Ray, Mark, and then something she didn't expect. A fourth name, someone Evelyn hadn't heard from in decades, someone Harold had written like a warning and a confession all at once. Evelyn stared at it until her vision blurred. Because if this name was here, then everything Linda thought she knew about her own life was about to shatter. Evelyn swallowed, reached for the sealed envelope with the red sticker, and realized her phone was vibrating in her purse. She pulled it out. It was Linda. Evelyn's breath caught. How did she know? Evelyn looked at the vault door, then at the box, then at the phone buzzing in her hand like a threat. Would you answer your own child's call in that moment, when you're holding the truth they never wanted you to see? Evelyn let it ring, and when it stopped, a text came through immediately. "Where are you?" Evelyn stared at Linda's text on the glowing screen. "Where are you?" For a second, the vault felt smaller. The folder. Harold's notebook. The sealed envelope with the red sticker. It all suddenly carried the same message. They weren't just impatient. They were watching her. Her phone buzzed again. Linda again. Evelyn let it ring until it stopped. Angela, the bank manager, appeared beside her, voice low. "Mrs. Carter, are you okay?" Evelyn swallowed. "Do you think people can track a phone?" Angela didn't look surprised. "Yes. Sometimes family sets it up for safety. Sometimes it's used for control." Control. That word made Evelyn's stomach turn. Angela leaned closer. "Do you feel safe going home?" Evelyn wanted to say yes. She couldn't. "I'm not sure," she whispered. "Then let's be careful," Angela said. Evelyn didn't open the red sticker envelope. Not yet. She tucked the notebook and folder into her purse and followed Angela back out through the quiet hallway. At the front, Angela spoke gently but firmly. "If anyone asks about you, we can't share anything. If someone shows up here and causes trouble, we'll call security and the police. You're not alone." Evelyn nodded, throat tight. "Thank you." Outside, the cold Ohio air slapped her awake. She locked her car doors before she even started the engine. A new text came in. "Are you at Mark's? Call me." Evelyn drove home the long way, hands steady, heart pounding. As she passed a Meijer and then a Kroger, she kept thinking about that fourth name she'd seen in Harold's notebook, written like a warning. Ray Ellison, Linda Carter Ellison, Mark Carter, Caleb Mercer, Harold's old friend from the plant, the loud one, the one Harold stopped talking about without explanation. Evelyn hadn't heard that name in decades. So why now? Her street came into view, and her breath caught. Ray's dark SUV was parked at the curb. Linda stood by it with her arms crossed. Mark was there too, shoulders hunched, looking like someone had pulled him out of bed and told him to stand guard. Evelyn parked and stepped out, keeping her purse tight against her body. Ray smiled like nothing was wrong. "Morning, Evelyn." Linda's voice snapped. "Where were you? We've been calling you." Evelyn kept her face soft. "I went out for coffee." Ray's eyes dropped to her purse. "That's a big purse for coffee." Evelyn didn't flinch. "I'm 80. I like a big purse." Mark finally looked at her, guilt flickering across his face. Linda was worried. Evelyn nodded once, then walked to her front door. Ray followed right behind her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. "We can finish the paperwork," he said, smooth as oil. "No stress. Get it done." Evelyn unlocked the door and stepped inside, and they followed like they belonged there. The living room looked exactly the same as last night. The grocery store cake still sat on the coffee table, plastic cover fogged up. The 80 candles were tipped over, wax dried along the base like tiny scars. Linda sat on the couch like it was hers now. Ray stayed standing, leaning against the wall like a supervisor. Evelyn sat carefully and kept her purse on her lap. Ray nodded toward the stack of papers. "Let's do it." Linda leaned forward. "Mom, please, stop making this harder." Evelyn reached into her purse, pulled out her reading glasses, and put them on slowly. Seconds matter when you're cornered. "All right," she said quietly. "I'll read it." Ray's smile tightened. "We already went over it." "I'm signing my life away," Evelyn said, calm. "You'll wait while I read." Linda's eyes flashed with irritation. Ray's jaw worked like he was chewing anger. Then the front door opened again. A woman Evelyn didn't recognize stepped in, holding a leather folder and a stamp. Late 50s, hair stiff with spray, the kind of person who looked like she'd rather not be involved. Ray said, "This is the notary, just to make it official." Evelyn's stomach sank. They hadn't come to talk. They'd come to close a deal. Evelyn stared at Linda. "You brought a stranger into my home." "It's normal," Linda said quickly. "It's legal." Ray's voice stayed even. "It's responsible." Evelyn picked up the top page and scanned it. It was written to sound like help, like protection. But she could see the end result plain as day. Her house, her accounts, her choices, gone. Ray tapped the paper. "Initial there, then sign." Evelyn lifted her eyes, watery on purpose. "Do you really think I'm not useful anymore?" Linda froze. The notary's gaze flicked to Linda, then down again. Ray jumped in fast. Nobody said that. Evelyn didn't look at Ray. She looked at her daughter. Didn't you? Linda's face hardened. Mom, don't start. Evelyn nodded like she was giving in. She picked up the pen. Her hand trembled, and she let it tremble because it made them confident. Then she set the pen down. I need to use the bathroom, Evelyn said. Ray's tone sharpened. After you sign. Evelyn's eyes lifted. Steady now. No. One word. No. The air changed. Mark shifted. Linda sat up straighter. The notary stopped breathing for a second. Ray stepped closer, blocking her path like a bouncer. Evelyn, don't make this difficult. And that's when Evelyn raised her voice. Donna, she called, loud enough for the street to hear. Donna Whitaker, are you home? Linda snapped, What are you doing? Evelyn didn't answer. She went to the window and pulled back the curtain. Across the street, Donna's porch light clicked on. A second later, Donna came out in a robe, phone in hand like a weapon. She looked straight at Evelyn, then at the shapes behind her. And she didn't hesitate. She crossed the street fast. Ray's eyes narrowed. Who is that? Evelyn kept her voice calm. My neighbor. And she doesn't scare easy. Donna hit the porch, knocked once, then opened the screen door without waiting. Evelyn? Donna said, scanning the room. You okay? Evelyn swallowed hard. Not really. Donna's eyes went straight to Linda, then Ray, then the notary. Who the hell are all these people in your living room this early? Ray forced a laugh. Ma'am, this is family business. Donna didn't blink. Everything is my business when it looks like someone's bullying an old woman. Linda stood up fast. That is not what's happening. Donna stepped closer, calm but deadly. Then you won't mind if I sit right here and listen to every word. Evelyn felt Harold's notebook in her purse like it was burning. She wasn't ready to reveal what was in it yet, but she knew this much. Somewhere in those pages was the truth about Ray, about the money, and about that name, Caleb Mercer. And if Evelyn opened the red sticker envelope today, this family would never go back to the way it was. Donna didn't sit down. She stayed standing between Evelyn and the rest of them like she was a human door. Her phone was in her hand now, not hidden, screen lit. Ray noticed it immediately. His eyes narrowed, but he kept that same polite voice, the one men use when they're trying to sound reasonable while they're doing something ugly. Ma'am, Ray said, you're overreacting. Donna looked him up and down. And you're in an old woman's house with a notary and a stack of papers, trying to rush her. So no, I'm reacting the right amount. The notary shifted uncomfortably. I'm just here to witness signatures. Donna turned to her. Then witness this. She said no. Linda's face flushed. She didn't say no, she just... Evelyn spoke softly, but the room heard it. I said no. Silence. Mark took a step forward, palms out like he was trying to calm everyone. Okay, let's not... Ray cut him off with a look. Mark, stay out of it. That did something to Mark. His shoulders stiffened. His eyes finally lifted to Ray's face. Don't talk to me like that. Ray's smile tightened. I'm trying to keep this from turning into a circus. Donna let out a short laugh. Buddy, it's already a circus. You're just mad you're not the ringmaster. Evelyn watched them like she was watching a play she didn't choose to attend. Her heart was still racing, but Donna's presence had changed the air. The room didn't feel like a trap anymore. It felt like a test. Linda glanced at the papers again, like they could save her. Mom, you're being influenced. Evelyn's voice stayed steady. I'm being protected. Ray stepped closer to Evelyn's couch, lowering his voice. Evelyn, let's not make this personal. Evelyn looked at him, calm and tired. You made it personal when you walked into my home with strangers and told me to sign. Donna raised her phone slightly. I'm recording now. The notary's eyes widened. I didn't agree to... Donna cut in. Then you should leave. Ray's jaw twitched. This is harassment. Donna nodded toward the front door. No, this is your invitation to get out. For a second, Evelyn thought Ray might explode. His hands flexed at his sides. The muscles in his neck tightened, but then he forced the smile back on, smooth as ever. Fine, he said. We'll come back when everyone's calmer. Linda stood too fast, anger cracking through her voice. Mom, don't do this. You're going to regret it. Evelyn didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. I already regret trusting you. That landed. Linda's face froze like she'd been slapped. Mark looked down. The notary cleared her throat. Ray picked up the folder of documents, tapped them into a neat stack, and held them like a briefcase. We're leaving, he said, still calm, still controlled. But this problem doesn't go away. Donna stepped aside just enough to let them pass, never taking her eyes off Ray. It goes away the minute you stop trying to steal from an old woman. Linda opened her mouth, but Ray touched her arm, a quiet command. They walked out. The notary followed quickly, like she couldn't get away fast enough. Mark didn't move. The door shut, and the house finally breathed again. Evelyn's hands began to shake for real now. Not the performance tremble, the aftershock. She tried to hide it by folding her hands, but Donna saw. Donna lowered her voice. Evelyn, look at me. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? Evelyn shook her head. No, just scared. Donna nodded once, like fear was a normal fact, not a weakness. Good, because scared keeps you alert. Mark finally spoke, voice rough. Mom, what is going on? Evelyn looked at her son, really looked at him. The same brown eyes Harold had, the same quiet way of standing like he didn't want to take up space. I don't know everything yet, Evelyn said, but your sister is trying to take control of my house, and Ray is behind it. Mark's face tightened. Linda wouldn't... Donna snapped. Not cruel, just blunt. She already is. Mark swallowed, trapped between loyalty and reality. She said it was planning, for your care. Evelyn reached into her purse and touched the notebook Harold left. Your father planned something, too. Mark's eyes flicked to the purse. What's that? Evelyn hesitated. Donna stepped in gently. Maybe not in front of everybody. Not yet. Evelyn nodded. She stood slowly. Mark, sweetheart, I need you to go home. Mark blinked. What? Evelyn kept her voice soft, like she was asking him to take out the trash. I need you out of the middle right now, because if you stay, Linda will use you, and you'll let her. You're not ready to fight her. Mark's face reddened. That's not fair. Evelyn's eyes filled, but she didn't look away. It's true. Mark's jaw worked. He looked at Donna, then back at Evelyn. Call me, he said quietly. If you need me. I will, Evelyn promised. He left, slower than Linda did, like he wanted to turn back, but he didn't. Donna waited until his car pulled away, then locked the door without asking. She turned to Evelyn. Okay, now we talk. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Evelyn used to cut sandwiches into triangles for the kids. Donna made fresh coffee like it was an emergency procedure. The drip coffee maker gurgled, and the normal sound almost made Evelyn cry. Donna slid a mug toward her. Drink, sugar if you want. Evelyn wrapped both hands around the warm cup. Thank you. Donna leaned forward. First thing, your phone, let me see it. Evelyn handed it over. Donna tapped the screen like she'd done it 1,000 times. She went through settings, location services, strange apps. Her mouth tightened. There it is, Donna said. What? Evelyn asked, stomach dropping. Donna turned the screen. A tracking app. Hidden. It's set to share your location. Evelyn stared. I didn't download that. Donna's voice stayed steady. You didn't. Someone did it for you. Evelyn felt cold all over. Ray. Most likely, Donna said. Or Linda, or both. Evelyn's hands shook again. So that's how she knew. Donna nodded. Yeah, that's how she knew. Evelyn's eyes burned. She thought about all the times Linda had said, I just worry about you, Mom. All the times she'd insisted on helping with the phone, changing settings, cleaning it up. Donna disabled the sharing, deleted the app, and turned off a few things Evelyn didn't understand. Then she placed the phone face down like it was poison. Second thing, Donna said. Do you have anyone else you trust? Evelyn didn't even have to think. Harold trusted you. Donna softened for half a second. Harold was a stubborn man, but he had good instincts. Evelyn opened her purse and pulled out the spiral notebook. Her hands hovered over it like it might bite. She slid it across the table. Donna read the cover, then looked up. You went to the bank. Evelyn nodded. Donna opened the notebook carefully, page by page. Her eyes moved faster as she read. The lines in her forehead deepened. "Oh, Evelyn," she whispered. "What?" Evelyn asked, heart pounding again. Donna flipped to a page and tapped a name. "Caleb Mercer. This isn't just a memory." Evelyn swallowed. "I haven't heard that name since the 70s. Donna's jaw tightened. "I have." Evelyn stared. "From where?" Donna looked up, eyes hard. "From the county court docket. Elder fraud cases, property scams. A few years back, a man named Caleb Mercer got mentioned as an associate in a wider investigation. He was never charged, but his name kept popping up like a bad smell." Evelyn's mouth went dry. "What does that have to do with us?" Donna turned another page. Harold wrote notes. Dates. Numbers. "See these?" Evelyn leaned in. She saw it now. Copies of withdrawals, checks, transfers, payees that didn't make sense, Ellison Consulting, Mercer Holdings. Small amounts at first, then larger. Evelyn's stomach twisted. "That's my money." Donna nodded. "Looks like someone's been dipping in for a while." Evelyn's vision blurred. "But I didn't authorize." Donna held up a hand. "I know." Evelyn stared down at the notebook until the kitchen tiles seemed to tilt. A sick feeling rose in her throat. It wasn't just greed. It was planning. It was slow theft, done quietly, like termites in wood. Evelyn whispered, "How could Linda do this?" Donna didn't answer right away. She reached into Evelyn's purse and pulled out the sealed envelope with the red sticker. "Do not open until you are safe." Donna looked at Evelyn. "Are you safe right now?" Evelyn glanced at the locked door, the quiet street outside, the warmth of the kitchen. She nodded, barely. "As safe as I can be." Donna slid the envelope across the table. "Then open it." Evelyn's fingers trembled as she peeled the sticker. The seal broke with a soft rip that sounded like a promise ending. Inside was a letter from a lawyer, a printed checklist, and a small flash drive taped to the paper. Evelyn read the first line and felt her heart drop all over again. "Mrs. Carter, if you are reading this, it means Harold's fears were correct, and someone close to you is attempting to force a transfer of assets." Evelyn's breath caught. Donna leaned in. "Keep reading." Evelyn's eyes moved down the page, and then she saw it, a sentence that made her blood go cold. "If Ray Ellison is present during any signing attempt, do not sign. Contact attorney Samuel Price immediately. Also, do not confront Ray alone. Harold documented evidence of identity fraud connected to Caleb Mercer. Identity fraud." Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth. Donna's voice dropped to a whisper. "Evelyn, this is bigger than a family fight." Evelyn looked up, tears spilling now. "What did my husband know?" Donna stared at the flash drive like it was a loaded gun. "Enough to build you an exit." Evelyn clutched the letter to her chest, shaking, because the secret she'd found on her 80th birthday wasn't just that her family was trying to take her house. It was that her husband had been quietly preparing for a war he never got to fight himself. And now, it was on her. Donna drove. Evelyn sat in the passenger seat with her purse hugged to her chest like it was a life vest. The morning sun was up now, but it didn't feel warm. It felt like the day was watching her, waiting to see if she would fold. They didn't go back inside Evelyn's house. Donna didn't want Ray showing up again and catching them there with the papers. "We do this the smart way," Donna said, hands steady on the wheel. "We don't give him chances." Evelyn nodded, throat tight. "I don't even know what to do." "You already did the hardest part," Donna said. "You said no." Evelyn stared out the window as they passed quiet streets and small brick houses with porches and winter wreaths. She remembered walking these sidewalks with Linda and Mark when they were little, holding their mittened hands, pointing out Christmas lights, pretending the world was always safe. "How did I miss this?" Evelyn whispered. Donna didn't sugarcoat it. "Because you wanted your daughter to be happy." They pulled into a small office building near downtown, the kind with a simple sign and a parking lot full of cars that looked like people had real jobs and real stress. Donna killed the engine and looked at Evelyn. "Last chance," Donna said. "Once we walk in, we're not pretending anymore." Evelyn's fingers tightened on the purse strap. "I'm done pretending." Inside, the air smelled like old books and printer paper. A receptionist smiled politely. Then her face changed when she saw Evelyn's age and the tight way she held herself. "Mrs. Carter?" she asked softly. "Attorney Price can see you now." Samuel Price was not a fancy man. Late 60s, gray hair, glasses that slid down his nose. He stood when Evelyn entered, and his voice was gentle, like he already knew she was carrying something heavy. "Mrs. Carter?" he said. "I'm sorry. I wish you weren't here for this reason." Evelyn's eyes stung. "You knew my husband." "I did," Price said. "Harold came to me more than once. He was worried." Donna placed the folder on the desk. "She has the envelope and the flash drive." Price's expression tightened. "Okay." He looked at Evelyn. "Before we do anything else, I need to ask you, did anyone pressure you to sign documents recently?" Evelyn swallowed. "Yes." "Who?" "My daughter," Evelyn said, voice shaking. "And her husband, Ray." Price nodded once, like it hurt him but didn't surprise him. "Did they bring a notary?" Evelyn's mouth went dry. "Yes." Price exhaled slowly. "Then your husband's protection clause is likely triggered. We'll confirm, but Harold did what he could." Evelyn pulled the flash drive out and set it on the desk like it might explode. "What is on this?" Price took it carefully, inserted it into his computer, and clicked through folders without speaking for a moment. The room was so quiet Evelyn could hear the faint hum of the heater. Then Price stopped. He turned the screen slightly so Evelyn could see. On the monitor were scanned documents, screenshots, and photos. Bank statements, copies of checks, a picture of Ray's driver's license, a second image beside it, an older mugshot with a different name under it, Caleb Mercer. Evelyn's hands flew to her mouth again. "No." Donna leaned in, eyes hard. "That's him." Price nodded. Harold suspected Ray was using a false identity. He hired a private investigator. Quietly, legally. Evelyn's voice cracked. "My Harold did that?" "He did," Price said, "because he was terrified of exactly what you described. A rushed signing. A pushed pen." Evelyn shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "So Ray isn't Ray." Price clicked another file. "Ray Ellison is an identity tied to a man who died years ago in Pennsylvania. Harold's investigator found inconsistencies, Social Security mismatches, an address history that doesn't add up." Evelyn felt like she couldn't breathe. "And Linda married him." Donna's voice turned bitter. "Or she married the story he sold her." Price looked at Evelyn carefully. "There is more." Evelyn whispered, "Tell me." Price opened a document labeled Family Notes. Harold's handwriting was scanned beside typed summaries. Price read quietly for a second, then looked up. "Harold believed Ray, Caleb, targeted Linda intentionally," Price said. "He believed Ray inserted himself into your family to access the house and the trust." Evelyn's stomach turned. "Like a plan." "Yes," Price said, "and I'm going to be honest with you, Mrs. Carter. Based on what I'm seeing, Harold may have been right." Evelyn stared at the desk, at her own hands, at the veins and age spots. "So my birthday wasn't random," Donna said. "It was a deadline." Price continued clicking. "There are also recordings." Evelyn's head snapped up. "Recordings?" Price tapped the screen. Harold recorded a few conversations with Ray when Ray thought Harold was just an old man who didn't understand finance. In one, Ray mentions getting her to sign and moving the title like it's routine. Evelyn's chest tightened so hard it hurt. "My own home." Price's voice stayed calm. "We can use this to protect you. We can freeze certain accounts. We can file for an emergency protective order if needed. And we can contact law enforcement." Evelyn flinched at that. "Police? That sounds big." Donna leaned forward, hands on the desk. "Evelyn, he put a tracker on your phone. He brought a notary into your house to pressure you. That's not family drama. That's control." Price nodded. "Donna's right." Evelyn stared at the screen again. Ray's smile in the driver's license photo looked the same. Friendly, clean, trustworthy. And now it made Evelyn feel sick. Price closed the laptop halfway and looked at her with care. "Mrs. Carter, there's one more issue we need to talk about." Evelyn's voice was small. "What now?" "Mark," Price said. Evelyn's breath caught. My son? Price held up a hand. I'm not accusing him of wrongdoing, but Harold wrote that Mark sometimes signed things without reading them. Small loans, quick favors, not because he was greedy, but because he didn't want conflict. Evelyn's throat tightened. She knew that about Mark. She had always known. Price continued gently. Harold feared Ray might use Mark as a bridge. Have you spoken with Mark? Evelyn shook her head. Not since he left this morning. Donna's face tightened. Ray told him to stay out of it. That's a bad sign. Price nodded. We need Mark on your side, or at least not in Ray's pocket, because if Mark unknowingly signed something, Ray could claim it was family consent. Evelyn felt her stomach drop again. So what do I do? Price opened a drawer and pulled out a simple phone. Use this for now. No tracking, no shared locations. We'll also change passwords, freeze credit, and remove anyone's access from your accounts today. Evelyn stared at the phone. It looked like a step into a new life, a life where she had to be careful. Donna put a hand over Evelyn's. We're going to do it together. Evelyn's eyes filled again. I hate this. I know, Donna said, but you're not helpless, and you're not alone. Price looked at Evelyn. One more thing. Linda will react. Ray will push harder when he realizes you've stepped out of his reach. So we have to plan your next move before you leave this office. Evelyn nodded slowly, and in the back of her mind, a hard question formed. When the truth comes out that Ray is Caleb Mercer, will Linda finally see what he is, or will she choose him anyway? Evelyn left Attorney Price's office holding a new phone that felt too light for what it meant. A clean line. A quiet number Ray couldn't tap into with a smile, and a just being responsible. Donna drove them back toward Evelyn's neighborhood, scanning every intersection like she expected a shadow to step out. You still want to go home? Donna asked. Evelyn's voice was steady, even if her hands weren't. It's my house. Then we go prepared, Donna said. They stopped at a Walmart on the way. Not for shopping, really, just to grab a few things fast. Donna bought a door wedge, a cheap deadbolt latch, and extra batteries. Evelyn added oatmeal and peanut butter without thinking, the kind of pantry staples she'd been buying since the kids were small. At the checkout, Evelyn watched a young mom buckle a toddler into a cart seat. The child screamed. The mom looked exhausted. Evelyn's throat tightened. She remembered Linda at 3, crying in the cereal aisle, and Evelyn whispering, Mama's got you. You're back at the house. Donna checked the street first. No SUV, she said. Good. Inside, Donna went straight to the doors and windows, testing locks, placing the wedge behind the back door, like this was a routine she'd learned the hard way. Evelyn moved into the kitchen and turned on the drip coffee maker. Water, filter, grounds, switch. The familiar gurgle filled the room, and for a second she felt Harold there, standing behind her, warm hands on her shoulders, saying, Keep going. Donna pulled 2 mugs from the cabinet. We need Mark. Evelyn nodded. I know. She used the new phone and typed a short message. Mark, please meet me today at Lou's Diner on Airport, Y 230. Just you. I love you. She hit send, then stared at the screen like it might protect her. While they waited, Donna made Evelyn pack a small bag. Medications, a change of clothes, Harold's letters, the wooden box from the dresser, and one old photo of Harold and Evelyn laughing on their porch swing. Evelyn held that picture for a long time before slipping it into the bag. Then Donna brought in the mail, bills, flyers, a Christmas card from a neighbor, and one thick envelope with a law firm logo Evelyn didn't recognize. Donna opened it and went still. What? Evelyn asked, already cold. Donna held the page up. Emergency guardianship petition. Evelyn's breath caught. Guardianship? Donna read the first lines, voice sharp. It claims you're confused, unable to manage finances, at risk of exploitation. Evelyn shook her head hard. I'm the one being... Donna pointed at the signature. Petitioner, Linda Carter Ellison. Evelyn pressed a hand to her chest, like she could hold her heart in place. My own daughter. Donna's eyes didn't soften. This is how they win even if you don't sign. It puts a legal collar on you. Evelyn sat down slowly, the room spinning. So my birthday was a deadline. Donna grabbed her coat. We go to the diner, and we show Mark this. Right now. Lou's diner smelled like bacon, syrup, and old coffee. The booths were worn soft. A glass pot sat behind the counter, refilled like time itself. They picked a corner booth with a clear view of the door. Evelyn tried to keep her knee still under the table. She couldn't. At 2:37, Mark walked in. He looked like he hadn't slept, hair messy, face unshaven, eyes tired in a way that made Evelyn's stomach ache. He slid into the booth and whispered, "What's going on?" Evelyn took his hand. "Mark, just listen. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just listen." He nodded, swallowing. "Okay." Donna slid the guardianship petition across the table. Mark read, and Evelyn watched the change happen in real time. Confusion, then anger, then fear. "She filed this?" Mark said, voice rising. "Linda filed this." Evelyn nodded. "Today." Mark stared at the paper like it was poison. "This makes her in charge of you." Donna's voice was blunt. "That's the point." Mark shook his head. "Ray told me she was just worried." Evelyn's voice broke. "I'm her mother." Mark's eyes lifted to hers and something cracked in him. "Mom, why would she do this?" Evelyn answered with truth, not rage. "Because Ray told her she can't have the life she wants unless she takes mine." Donna set Harold's notebook on the table but kept a hand on it. "Before we open this, Mark, I need you to tell me something. Did you sign anything Ray put in front of you? Forms, loans, anything?" Mark went pale. Evelyn's stomach dropped. "Mark," he looked down at his hands. "Months ago, he said it was paperwork for a business thing. He said it would help Linda. He said it was temporary." Donna didn't blink. "What did you sign?" Mark swallowed hard. "A bank form and something about the house." Evelyn felt cold from the inside out. "My house?" Mark's eyes filled. "He said it was for insurance. He said it was protection." Donna exhaled slowly. "That's how he planned to say the family agreed." Mark's voice cracked. "I didn't know. I swear, Mom, I didn't know." Evelyn squeezed his hand. "I believe you." Mark blinked, shocked. "You do?" Evelyn nodded through tears. "Because you're not cruel, you're just scared." Mark wiped his eyes fast, embarrassed in public. "I am scared." Donna tapped the notebook gently. "Be scared and do the right thing anyway." Evelyn took a breath that hurt. "Your father left proof. Ray isn't who he says he is." Mark frowned. "What do you mean?" Donna opened the notebook to the page with the names. Mark read. When his eyes hit Caleb Mercer, his face drained. He whispered, "No." Evelyn's heart pounded. "Do you recognize that name?" Mark stared at the page. "I heard Ray say it once, late at night, on the phone. He didn't know I was there. He said, 'Caleb can't be connected to this.'" Evelyn felt sick. Donna leaned in. "Mark, if Linda wins guardianship, they can move your mom out, sell the house, control her money, and call it care. Are you going to let that happen?" Mark looked at Evelyn like he was seeing her fully for the first time. Small shoulders, tired eyes, a lifetime of holding the family up. Then he nodded once, firm. "No," he said. "I'm not letting that happen." Evelyn's breath hitched. "You'll stand with me?" "Yes," Mark said. "I'll stand with you." Donna's phone buzzed on the table. A new message from Linda. Mark read it, jaw tightening. "Don't answer, Mom. Ray says she's confused. We're filing today." Mark's face changed into something Evelyn had never seen on him before. "Resolve." He looked at Evelyn. "If we fight this, they'll lie about you." Evelyn nodded slowly. "I know." Mark swallowed. "Then we stop being quiet." Donna leaned back slightly. "Good, because the next move has to be public." Evelyn's heart pounded. Public meant no more swallowing pain to keep peace. And right then, the diner door opened again. Ray walked in. Alone. He smiled like he'd just found what he was looking for. Ray didn't rush in like a man in a panic. He walked into Lou's diner like he owned a piece of it. Same clean jacket. Same confident smile. Same eyes that never stopped moving. Taking inventory of the room. He spotted Evelyn and Mark in the corner booth. Then he spotted Donna, and his smile flickered for half a second before it came right back. "Hey," he said casually. sliding into the aisle beside their booth like it was a friendly surprise. "There you are." Mark's body went rigid. Evelyn felt it immediately, the way his shoulders tensed like a kid about to get scolded. Donna didn't move. She just lifted her chin, calm as stone. Ray's eyes went to Evelyn first. "Evelyn, you didn't answer my calls. Linda's worried sick." Evelyn's voice stayed soft, but her words didn't bend. "I'm sitting right here. I'm alive. I'm not lost." Ray chuckled like she'd said something cute. "Okay, good. Then let's not make a scene." His gaze slid to Mark. "And you, buddy? You okay? You look stressed." Mark swallowed. "Why are you here?" Ray spread his hands. "Because family handles family stuff, not neighbors, not lawyers. Family." Donna's mouth twitched. "Funny, you didn't say family when you brought a notary into her living room." Ray didn't look at Donna, not at first. He kept his attention on Evelyn like Donna was just background noise. "Evelyn, you know Linda loves you. She's trying to help you. You're getting older. Things get confusing. That's normal." Evelyn's stomach turned at the word confusing. Mark's voice tightened. "Don't talk about my mom like she's a child." Ray finally glanced at Donna, and there it was, the flash of irritation. "I'm not talking to you, ma'am." Donna smiled, small and sharp. "And yet you keep showing up wherever she is." Ray leaned in slightly, lowering his voice like he was offering peace. "Let's do this the easy way. You come home, we talk, we stop involving strangers." "You're embarrassing Linda." Evelyn stared at him. "You're the one embarrassing her." Ray's smile stayed put, but his eyes hardened. "Evelyn, I'm trying to protect her." Donna snorted. "You're trying to protect your access." Ray ignored her again and looked at Mark. "Mark, can you step outside with me for a second? Just you and me." Evelyn felt the trap before Mark did. "No," Evelyn said quickly. "He stays." Ray's eyes narrowed just a hair. "Evelyn, this isn't about you controlling everyone." Evelyn's voice rose just enough for the waitress at the counter to glance over. "This is about you trying to control me." Ray's jaw tightened. His smile finally slipped. "All right. You want the truth? The truth is Linda is tired. She's been carrying you." Evelyn blinked, like she'd been slapped. "Carrying me?" Ray leaned closer, voice sharper now. "She has her own kids, her own life, and you're sitting in a house you can't maintain, with bills you don't understand, acting like it's 1975. She's trying to keep you safe." Evelyn's hands trembled under the table, but she kept her head up. "If she wanted me safe, she wouldn't try to take my rights." Ray's eyes flashed. "Guardianship is safety." Donna's voice cut through. "Guardianship is control when it's filed in secret." Ray turned on Donna, eyes cold now. "You don't know what you're talking about." Donna raised her phone slightly, not waving it, just letting him see it. "I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I know you don't like witnesses." For a second, Ray looked like he wanted to snatch the phone out of her hand. But then he did what men like Ray always do. He shifted tactics. His face softened again. He turned back to Mark, voice warm. "Mark, look at me. I know you're in a tough spot. Linda's your sister. This is your mom. You're trying to keep everyone together. I respect that." Mark's eyes flickered. The old Mark, the one who wanted peace, almost surfaced. Ray pressed. "Just talk to Linda. Tell her to slow down. Tell her you'll handle Mom's finances for now. That's all. You already signed the paperwork anyway." Evelyn's breath stopped. Mark went pale. Ray kept going, smooth as butter. "It's fine. It's done. No drama. You signed. It's family." Evelyn's chest tightened so hard it hurt. "What did you just say?" Ray paused, like he realized he'd stepped on a wire. His eyes flicked to Donna's phone, then back to Evelyn. "I said Mark can help," Ray corrected quickly. Evelyn's voice turned quiet in a way that made Mark flinch. "Mark, what did you sign?" Mark's eyes filled. He looked at the table. "I told you. I didn't read it." Evelyn nodded slowly, like she was absorbing something heavy. "Ray wanted you to be the one. So if I fought, he could say my own son agreed." Ray leaned back, annoyed now. "Evelyn, don't twist this." Donna's voice was deadly calm. "You just admitted it out loud." Ray snapped, "Shut up." The diner got quieter around them. Even the clinking of plates seemed to slow. A man at the counter turned on his stool. 2 teenage servers paused near the coffee station. Ray noticed, and he pulled the polite mask back on fast. He smiled at the room like nothing was wrong, then looked back at Evelyn. Okay, you want to be stubborn, fine. But there are consequences. Evelyn's heart pounded. Is that a threat? Ray's smile didn't reach his eyes. It's reality. You fight this? Linda loses time, money, sleep. The grandkids feel it. You want to keep being the reason your daughter's marriage collapses? Evelyn stared at him. If your marriage collapses because the truth comes out, it deserves to collapse. Ray's eyes went cold, and then he said something he couldn't take back. Harold always made you feel like a saint, Ray muttered. But Harold kept things from you, too. Evelyn froze. What things? Ray's mouth tightened like he hadn't meant to say it. Donna's phone lifted a little higher. Ray recovered, but not fully. Ask him, he said, voice low. Oh, wait. You can't. Mark's hands clenched. Get away from her. Ray looked at Mark, and the warmth was gone. You're going to talk tough now? After you already helped us? Mark, you're not a hero, you're just late. Evelyn felt something rise in her chest. Not fear. Something older. Something that had been buried under years of being polite. You're done, she said. Ray smirked. With what? With us, Evelyn said. With my home, with my life, with my children. Ray leaned in, voice sharp enough that only they could hear. You think you can win because you found a few papers? You think a lawyer fixes everything? You don't understand how this works. Donna's eyes stayed locked on him. Actually, we do. Ray straightened. Good. Then you'll understand this. He pulled his phone out and tapped the screen. A moment later, Evelyn's old phone buzzed inside her purse, the one Donna had put face down at home. Evelyn's blood went cold. He could still reach her. Ray held his screen up just enough for Mark to see a photo of Evelyn's house, taken minutes ago, the porch, the window, the front door. Ray's voice dropped. People are at your place right now, taking notes, pictures. You want to keep playing games? Mark's face drained. Who are they? Ray's eyes flicked, pleased. Old friends. Donna's expression sharpened. Caleb. Ray's head snapped toward her. Don't call me that. The room went still. Evelyn stared at him. What did you just say? Ray's chest rose and fell once too fast. He realized what had happened. The name. The reaction. Donna didn't miss it. You just confirmed it. Ray's hand tightened around his phone. His smile vanished completely. You're going to regret this. Donna slid out of the booth and stood, voice loud now for the whole diner to hear. This man is threatening an elderly woman. If anyone is calling the police, now would be a great time. The waitress behind the counter picked up the phone without hesitation. A cook peeked out from the kitchen. Ray's eyes darted around the room. For the first time, he looked trapped. Then he did the one thing Evelyn didn't expect. He looked at Mark and softened his voice, like he was pleading. Mark, come on, don't let her do this. Tell them to stop. Mark stared at him, tears in his eyes, and shook his head once. No, Mark said. Not this time. Ray's face hardened again. He backed away from the booth slowly, like a man leaving a fight before it becomes a record. This isn't over, Ray said. He looked at Evelyn one last time. Happy birthday. Then he walked out. Evelyn sat frozen, heart hammering, the smell of coffee suddenly nauseating. Mark's hand found hers and squeezed hard, like he was holding on so she wouldn't disappear. Donna sat back down, eyes still on the door. Okay, she said quietly. Now we move fast. And if you're still here with Evelyn right now, if you've ever had to protect a parent from someone who smiled while they hurt them, leave a quick comment. Just a few words. It tells people like her they're not crazy for fighting back. Evelyn swallowed. Where do we go? Donna looked at Evelyn, then at Mark. We go public before they can paint you as confused. We get witnesses. We get the community. And we do it in a place Linda can't ignore. Mark's voice shook. Where? Evelyn answered before Donna could. The church, Evelyn said. Because if there was one place her daughter still cared about appearances, it was that little church on the edge of town, where everyone knew everyone, and where Harold's name still meant something. St. Bridget's sat on the edge of Toledo like it always had, brick walls darkened by time, white steeple cutting into the gray winter sky, and a small parking lot that filled up on Sundays with people who had known each other forever. Evelyn hadn't missed a service in years. Not because she was perfect, not because church made her life easy, because it was the one place that still felt steady. Harold used to park on the far side, under the bare maple tree, and he'd squeeze her hand before they got out like he was saying, "We made it another week." Donna pulled into that same lot now, tires crunching over salted pavement. Mark's car followed behind them, too close, like he was afraid if he left space, something would slip in between. Evelyn stepped out slowly, coat pulled tight around her, the cold biting her cheeks. The church doors were open. Warm air spilled out with the smell of old wood, candles, and coffee. Someone had already set up a table in the entryway with paper cups and a metal urn, cheap drip coffee, strong enough to wake the dead. Next to it were store-bought cookies on a paper plate. Evelyn paused for a second, just inside the doorway. The moment she heard the low hum of voices and the soft shuffle of winter coats, her eyes stung. These people had watched her raise her kids. They'd hugged her at Harold's funeral. They'd brought casseroles and awkward sympathy and small envelopes with grocery money when she didn't ask. And now she had to walk in and admit something shameful, that her own daughter was trying to take her life away with a signature. Donna nudged her gently. "Eyes up!" Evelyn swallowed and nodded. They moved down the hallway toward the fellowship hall, where a small crowd stood around folding tables covered with cheap plastic tablecloths. It wasn't Sunday morning service. It was a community meeting, one of those end-of-year gatherings where the pastor updated everyone. People talked about donations, and older folks argued about what needed fixing in the building. Perfect, because it meant witnesses. Because it meant Linda couldn't claim Evelyn was confused in the privacy of a living room. A woman with silver hair looked up and smiled. "Evelyn, honey, happy birthday. We missed you Sunday." Evelyn forced a smile. "Thank you, Carol." Carol's eyes flicked to Donna, then Mark, then back to Evelyn's face. The smile softened. "You all right, sweetheart?" Evelyn's throat tightened. She didn't answer fast enough. Donna did. "We need Pastor Jim. Right now." Carol blinked. "Is something wrong?" Evelyn finally spoke, voice quiet but clear. "Yes." Carol's expression changed instantly. She didn't ask for gossip. She didn't smile anymore. She just nodded once, like she understood the tone. "I'll get him," Carol said, and disappeared down the hall. Mark stood close to Evelyn's shoulder, like he was trying to be a wall. He kept scanning the room like Ray might appear from behind a coffee urn. "You sure about this?" Mark whispered. Evelyn looked at him. "I'm sure about protecting myself." Mark's eyes lowered. "I should have protected you first." Evelyn didn't scold him. She just touched his hand. "Then do it now." A door opened, and Pastor Jim stepped out. He was a tall man with tired eyes and a kind face, the kind of pastor who remembered names and didn't pretend life was easy. He walked straight to Evelyn like nothing else in the room mattered. "Evelyn," he said softly, "happy birthday." "What's going on?" Evelyn tried to speak, but her voice caught. Donna stepped in, controlled and direct. "Someone is trying to force her into guardianship and take her home." Pastor Jim's expression hardened. "Who?" Evelyn swallowed. "Linda." For a second he looked genuinely pained, like the name hit him in the chest. Then he nodded slowly. "Okay, come with me." He led them to a small office off the hallway. The walls had framed photos of youth groups and weddings and old fundraising posters. Evelyn sat on a chair that squeaked under her weight. Pastor Jim closed the door and looked at her carefully. "Evelyn, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly." Evelyn nodded. "Are you being mistreated?" he asked. Evelyn's eyes filled. She hated that word. Mistreated. Like she was a dog. But she nodded again. "Yes." Pastor Jim exhaled slowly. "Tell me what happened." Evelyn told him, plain and simple. The birthday cake, the papers, the words Linda said, the notary, the pressure, the tracking app, the guardianship petition. She didn't dramatize it. She didn't need to. Pastor Jim listened without interrupting. His face tightened as the story went on. like each detail was another weight. When Evelyn finished, she wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand, embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't want to bring this here." Pastor Jim leaned forward, voice gentle but firm. "Evelyn, you didn't bring sin into this building. It walked into your living room. You're just telling the truth out loud." Mark's eyes were wet now. "Pastor, I messed up." Pastor Jim looked at him. "Did you?" Mark nodded, voice breaking. "I signed something Ray put in front of me. I didn't read it. I thought I was helping." Pastor Jim didn't shame him. He just stared at Mark like he was weighing something. "Then you fix it," Pastor Jim said quietly. "You stand with your mother. You don't let fear decide for you anymore." Mark nodded, wiping his face. "Yes, sir." Donna pulled the guardianship petition out of her folder and placed it on Pastor Jim's desk. "We also have evidence Ray isn't who he claims he is." Pastor Jim's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Donna hesitated just enough to show she understood the danger. Then she said it anyway. "We believe Ray Ellison is using a false identity connected to a man named Caleb Mercer." Pastor Jim went still. "That name?" Evelyn's stomach tightened. "You've heard it?" Pastor Jim didn't answer right away. He stood and opened a filing cabinet. He pulled out a thin folder and flipped through papers like he'd done it before. Then he stopped. He set a page down on the desk. Evelyn leaned forward and saw a printout, an email from years ago. A note from another church in Michigan, warning about a man who'd been working the community, attaching himself to families with elderly relatives, pushing financial help, causing conflict. Pastor Jim tapped the page. "We got this warning 2 years ago," he said, voice low, "about a man using different names. We were told to be cautious, to watch for manipulation, to watch for sudden guardianship concerns." Evelyn's skin went cold. "And you didn't tell me?" Pastor Jim's eyes softened. "Evelyn, I didn't know he'd attached himself to your family. Linda moved away for a while. She didn't bring him around much at first." Donna's voice tightened. "But he's here now." Pastor Jim nodded. "Yes." He looked at Evelyn, and the kindness in his face shifted into something protective. "You said you want this public," he said. Evelyn nodded, heartbeat loud in her ears. "Yes." Pastor Jim stood. "Then we do it the right way." He opened the office door and stepped into the hallway, raising his voice just enough to be heard. "Carol," he called, "I need the board members and 2 witnesses in the fellowship hall. Now." Evelyn's breath caught. "Pastor," Pastor Jim turned back to her. "Evelyn, you are not going to fight this alone in silence. Not in this town." Donna's jaw tightened. "We also need Attorney Price to be present." Pastor Jim nodded. "Call him. I'll hold everyone here." Evelyn used the new phone with shaking hands and called Samuel Price. He answered quickly, like he'd been expecting the ring. "Mrs. Carter?" Evelyn swallowed. "We're at St. Bridget's. Pastor Jim is gathering witnesses. Linda filed for guardianship." Price's voice sharpened. "I'm on my way." Evelyn hung up and stared at her hands. They looked old, small, like hands that had only ever done gentle things. But those same hands had lifted children, worked overtime, held Harold's face when he couldn't breathe, signed checks, paid bills, kept a household alive. They weren't useless, not even close. In the fellowship hall, people turned as Pastor Jim walked in. The hum of conversation slowed. Carol stood by the coffee table watching Evelyn like she was ready to step in front of a bullet. Pastor Jim raised a hand. "Everyone," he said, voice steady, "I need your attention for a moment. This is not an easy announcement, but it's necessary." The room quieted fully now. Evelyn stood near the door with Donna on one side and Mark on the other. She could feel eyes on her, concern and curiosity mixed together. Pastor Jim continued, "Evelyn Carter needs support, and she needs witnesses. There is a legal petition filed against her by a family member, and there have been attempts to pressure her into signing documents." Gasps moved through the room like a wave. Evelyn's stomach twisted. This was the part she hated, being seen as weak. But Pastor Jim's voice didn't make her sound weak. It made her sound protected. A man in a flannel jacket stepped forward. "Who pressured her?" Pastor Jim didn't answer that yet. He looked at Evelyn first. "Evelyn, Do you want to say it, in your own words? Evelyn's mouth went dry. Mark squeezed her hand. Donna whispered, "You can do this." Evelyn stepped forward. She looked out at faces she'd known for decades, faces that had watched her serve at bake sales, clean after potlucks, sit quietly in the third pew with Harold. She took a breath. "My daughter," Evelyn said, voice shaking but clear, "and her husband tried to make me sign away my home. On my birthday." A sharp intake of breath from somewhere near the back. Evelyn continued, forcing the words out. "They told me I wasn't useful anymore. They brought a notary into my living room. And now? They filed for guardianship without telling me." The room erupted in murmurs. Carol's hand flew to her mouth. Someone swore under their breath. A woman near the front said, loud and angry, "That's her mother." Evelyn's eyes burned again. Pastor Jim lifted his hands for calm. "We are not here to start a mob. We are here to protect Evelyn and ensure the truth is documented." Donna stepped forward, voice crisp. "We also believe Ray Ellison is using a false identity connected to elder fraud." A board member, a retired teacher, stiffened. "Are you accusing him of a crime?" Donna didn't blink. "We have evidence, and an attorney is on his way." The retired teacher swallowed. "Then we need police." Pastor Jim nodded. "Not yet. Not until we do this carefully. But yes, we will if necessary." Gee. Evelyn's heart pounded as the room buzzed with a new energy. Protective, angry, awake. Then the fellowship hall doors swung open, and Linda walked in. She wasn't alone. 2 uniformed officers entered behind her. Linda's eyes scanned the room and landed on Evelyn. Her face tightened with fury and panic, like she'd just walked into a scene she hadn't written. One officer stepped forward. "Ma'am," he said, looking at Evelyn, "we got a call for a welfare check." Linda's voice rang out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "My mother is confused," she said. "She's being influenced by people who want her money." Evelyn stood frozen, because this was the moment. If she crumbled now, Linda would win. If she stayed standing, the truth would finally start to crack through. The officers didn't look angry. They looked tired, like they'd done 100 welfare checks that week. Like they'd heard 100 versions of "my mom is confused" and "my dad is being taken advantage of," and they'd learned the hard way that families can be dangerous without ever raising a fist. One of them was older, with gray at his temples. The other was younger, eyes alert, hand resting near his belt without touching it. The older officer nodded at Pastor Jim. "Sir, we got a call saying an elderly woman may be at risk." Pastor Jim kept his voice calm. "Officer, this is Evelyn Carter. She's a member here. She is not lost. She is not unsafe. But she is being pressured by her daughter and son-in-law." Linda stepped forward fast, cheeks flushed. "That's not true. She's not thinking clearly. She's listening to strangers." Evelyn felt every eye in the room turn toward her again. Her throat tightened, but she forced herself to stand taller. "I know exactly where I am," Evelyn said, "and I know what my daughter filed." The younger officer looked at Linda. "Ma'am, did you file paperwork?" Linda lifted her chin. "Yes, emergency guardianship, because she's refusing help." Donna cut in, loud enough to be heard. "Because she refused to sign her house away." The older officer held up a hand. "Okay, one at a time." He turned to Evelyn. "Ma'am, I need to ask you a few questions. Would you be willing to speak with me privately for a moment?" Evelyn's stomach clenched. Alone. That was always where Ray worked best, behind closed doors, where words could be twisted. Pastor Jim stepped in gently. "Officer, she has the right to have a support person present." Donna nodded. "And she has an attorney on the way." Linda snapped. "She doesn't need an attorney. She needs care." Evelyn looked at her daughter. Really looked. Linda's hands were shaking now, but her eyes were hard, like she was pushing through panic with force. "Linda," Evelyn said softly, "you didn't come here to check on me. You came here to control the story." Linda's face tightened. "Mom, stop. You're embarrassing yourself." A murmur rose in the room, angry now, protective. Carol stepped forward, voice sharp. "Embarrassing yourself? She's 80. You should be ashamed." The older officer turned toward Carol. Ma'am, Carol lifted her hands. I'm sorry, officer, but I've known Evelyn 40 years. She's not confused. She's scared. The younger officer looked at Evelyn again. Ma'am, are you afraid of anyone? Evelyn hesitated for 1 second, just one. Then she said it. Yes, my son-in-law. Linda's breath hitched. Ray has never hurt her. Donna's voice was flat. He put a tracker on her phone. Linda spun toward Donna. That's a lie. Evelyn swallowed hard. It's not a lie. Donna removed it this morning. The older officer's expression shifted. A tracker? Donna nodded. Hidden app, location sharing. Without her consent. The younger officer looked at Linda. Ma'am, did you install anything on your mother's phone? Linda's eyes darted. I help her with her phone. She doesn't understand those settings. Evelyn's voice stayed steady. I understand when I'm being watched. A door opened at the back of the hall. Samuel Price walked in with a winter coat and a briefcase, moving fast, face serious. He didn't look like a man coming to church. He looked like a man coming to stop a train. He approached the officers and showed a card. Samuel Price, attorney for Mrs. Evelyn Carter. Officers, thank you for coming. This is a civil dispute that has crossed into coercion. Linda's face tightened. Oh my God, this is insane. Price turned to her, calm. Ms. Ellison, you filed for emergency guardianship. On what medical basis? Linda opened her mouth, closed it. She's forgetful. Price nodded. Then you will have no problem providing medical documentation to the court. But that is not what you did today. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a copy of the petition. You alleged she is being exploited, yet you also attempted to have her sign a transfer of property and financial control, with a notary present, in her home, on her birthday. The older officer glanced between them. Is that accurate? Evelyn's voice was quiet, but clear. Yes, Pastor Jim added. Multiple people here heard her say it, and she has witnesses of the pressure. Price pulled out another page. Mrs. Carter also has documentation of a trust clause triggered by coercion. If coercion is proven, the petitioner may forfeit benefits. Linda's face went pale. What are you talking about? Evelyn felt her heart pound. This was the moment the secret would stop being just hers. Price looked at Linda, measured. Your father, Harold Carter, took legal steps before he died. He documented concerns about Ray Ellison. At the name, Linda's eyes flashed. Don't you dare blame my husband. Price's voice stayed even. Then let's talk about your husband. He turned the laptop screen in his briefcase toward the officers. This is evidence of identity discrepancies tied to Ray Ellison. Linda leaned forward, eyes narrowing. That's fake. Price clicked one more file and pulled up the older mugshot. Grainy, ugly, unmistakably the same face beneath a different haircut. Caleb Mercer. Evelyn watched Linda's mouth open slightly. No, Linda whispered, but it didn't sound sure. It sounded like a person trying to keep the floor from dropping. Mark stepped beside Evelyn. Linda, I heard him say that name. Linda spun toward Mark. Shut up. Mark didn't flinch this time. I'm not shutting up. The younger officer stared at the screen. His posture shifted. Sir, where did this come from? Price answered, a licensed investigator hired by Mr. Carter, and bank records showing suspicious transfers. The older officer held up a hand again, slower now. Okay, ma'am, he said to Evelyn. I don't see immediate cause to remove you from here. You appear oriented. You have support. You have counsel. Linda's voice cracked. So you're just going to leave her with these people? Pastor Jim's eyes hardened. These people are her community. Price looked at Linda. Your petition is a court matter, but I strongly advise you to stop any further attempts to pressure Mrs. Carter. Stiat, the younger officer turned to Linda. Ma'am, where is your husband right now? Linda hesitated, and that hesitation told Evelyn everything, because Linda didn't know, or she did know, and she didn't want to say it out loud in front of witnesses. Linda finally answered, voice small. He's at work. Donna's laugh was short and humorless. Sure he is. The older officer nodded. Ma'am, we'll document today's welfare check. If there are allegations of tracking or identity fraud, that can be referred." Price added, "Officer, I would like to make a report about an attempted coercive signing with a notary present. I have names." Evelyn's legs felt weak, but she stayed standing. Linda stared at Evelyn, eyes burning. "You're doing this to me." Evelyn shook her head slowly. "No, Linda, you did this to me." And as Linda stood there, trapped by the truth, Evelyn realized something else. Ray wasn't going to let this go. If he was truly Caleb Mercer, he would not disappear quietly. He would show up and try to take control back, and the next time he showed up, it wouldn't be with a notary. It would be with something worse. By the time the officers left St. Bridget's, the fellowship hall felt like it had been through a storm. People didn't go back to talking about donations or the leaky roof. They stood in small clusters, whispering, staring at Linda like she was a stranger. Linda stayed near the door, arms wrapped around herself, eyes darting from face to face, as if she could find one person to take her side. She didn't. Pastor Jim walked her to the side, speaking low. Evelyn couldn't hear the words, but she saw Linda's mouth tighten and her eyes fill, not with compassion, with humiliation. Evelyn hated that it still hurt. Even after everything, part of her still wanted to step forward and smooth it over, say something gentle. Take the blame the way she always did. But Donna's hand touched Evelyn's elbow, firm and grounding. "Not today," she whispered. Mark stayed close to Evelyn, jaw set. The old Mark would have chased Linda into the parking lot and begged her to calm down. This Mark just watched her like he was finally seeing what she'd become. Attorney Price spoke to the officers one more time, giving names, dates, and the notary's information. He promised to file an emergency motion to block the guardianship and secure a protective order. When he turned back to Evelyn, his voice softened. "Go home with Donna. Don't be alone tonight. If he shows up, you call 911. You don't negotiate." Evelyn nodded, throat tight. "Okay." Linda walked past them on her way out, not looking at Evelyn, not looking at Mark. Her face was stiff, like if she made eye contact, she might crack. At the doorway she stopped for half a second. Her voice came out thin. "Mom, you're doing this to yourself." Evelyn didn't raise her voice. "No, Linda, I'm doing this for myself." Linda flinched like she wasn't used to hearing that. Then she walked out into the cold. Donna drove Evelyn home again, Mark following behind. The sky was already darkening, and the streetlights came on early, glowing against the thin snow that had started to fall. Evelyn's house looked the same from the outside. Porch, swing, a wreath she'd put up alone. But inside, everything felt different now, like the walls knew the truth. Donna checked the locks again. Mark installed the cheap latch from Walmart with trembling hands, cursing under his breath when the screw slipped. Evelyn made soup from a can because her hands needed something normal to do. The sound of the microwave beep almost made her laugh. The idea that a machine could be so cheerful on a day like this. They ate at the kitchen table. Quiet. Finally, Mark spoke. "Mom, I'm sorry." Evelyn looked at him. "I know. I wanted to believe Linda," he said, voice rough. "I wanted to believe Ray was just intense, but not dangerous." Donna leaned back in her chair. "Dangerous doesn't always look like fists. Sometimes it looks like paperwork and a smile." Evelyn stared at her soup. "Harold saw it." Mark swallowed hard. "Dad always saw things before we did." After dinner, Donna insisted Evelyn sleep in the living room near the front door where she could hear everything. Mark took the recliner. Donna sat at the table with her phone and a legal pad like a guard. Around 10:40 p.m., Evelyn's new phone buzzed. Unknown number. Donna saw it too. "Don't answer," she said. The phone stopped, then buzzed again. A voicemail icon appeared. Donna pressed play on speaker, and Ray's voice filled the room like a stain. "Evelyn," he said, low and controlled, "this is getting out of hand. You and I need to talk. Alone. I'm coming by. Don't make me knock on every door in this neighborhood to find you." Mark shot up in the recliner. "He can't." Donna held up a hand. "He can. That's why we call first." She dialed 911 without hesitating, voice calm, clear, practiced. Evelyn's heart slammed against her ribs. "Donna?" Donna didn't look at her. "Shh. Let me handle this." As Donna spoke to dispatch, headlights swept across the living room walls. Evelyn's breath caught. A car had stopped out front, then another set of lights behind it. Mark went to the window and peeked through the blinds. His face went pale. It's him. Evelyn sat up, body cold. Ray? Donna ended the call and whispered, "Stay back from the windows." A knock hit the front door. Not polite, hard, demanding. "Evelyn!" Ray called through the wood. "Open up. We need to talk." Evelyn's hands shook so badly she had to press them between her knees. Mark moved toward the door like he wanted to charge out, but Donna grabbed his sleeve. "No, you don't open it." Ray knocked again, then tried the handle. It didn't give. "You think you can hide behind a neighbor?" Ray's voice rose. "You think a church meeting makes you brave?" Evelyn stared at the door, and for a second she saw Harold's hands on that same knob, coming home from work, calling out, "Ev, I'm home." Now it was a stranger's voice using her first name like he owned it. Ray's tone changed, sweet as sugar. "Evelyn, come on. Let's be adults. If you drop this, Linda won't have to take the stand. She won't have to hear everyone talk about her like she's a monster." Donna muttered, "He's coaching." Evelyn's throat tightened. "Linda," she whispered. Ray heard it, and he pounced. "Exactly. Linda. Think about your daughter. Think about your grandkids. You want them to grow up thinking you ruined their family?" Mark's voice broke, quiet but fierce. "You did that." "Not her." Ray snapped. "Shut up, Mark." Mark stepped closer, shaking. "No." There was a pause on the other side of the door, like Ray was choosing his next move. Then a sharp sound. Metal scraping. Mark's eyes widened. "He's trying to force it." Donna moved fast, placing herself in front of Evelyn. "Back! Now!" Evelyn stumbled backward, heart pounding. Another scrape. The door shuddered slightly against the latch. And then, through the window, blue and red lights flashed across the snow. A patrol car rolled up, tires crunching, siren off, but lights bright. Ray's voice stopped mid-breath. Mark peeked again and whispered, "Police!" The front yard lit up like a stage. An officer stepped out, hand up, voice loud. "Sir, step away from the door." Ray's silhouette moved on the porch, and for a second Evelyn thought he might run. But then he did what he always did. He acted offended. "This is my mother-in-law," Ray called back. "She's confused. I'm checking on her." Donna shouted through the door, "You're trespassing! We have your voicemail!" The officer's voice hardened. "Sir, do you have permission to be here?" Ray's tone dropped, sharp now. "I have every right." "Sir," the officer cut in, "step down off the porch. Now." Evelyn held her breath. The porch creaked as Ray moved. The officer spoke with another unit on the radio. Another car pulled up. 2 more officers. Mark's fists clenched. "Please arrest him." Donna's eyes stayed flat. "Let them do it clean." Evelyn's chest hurt. She thought about Linda, somewhere in a warm house, probably telling herself this was all Evelyn's fault, probably waiting for Ray to come home and tell her he handled it. Outside, one officer asked Ray for ID. Ray's voice shifted again, quieter, more careful. "Sure, no problem." Evelyn couldn't see his face, but she could feel him thinking, calculating. After a minute, the officer's voice changed. "Sir, what's your full name?" Ray hesitated too long. The officer repeated it slower. "What's your full name?" Donna whispered. "Here it comes." Ray answered, "Raymond Ellison." The officer replied, "Do you have any other names you go by?" Silence. Then the officer said words Evelyn would never forget. "Caleb Mercer, you have an outstanding warrant in Michigan for failure to appear. Turn around. Hands behind your back." Mark exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears, not from relief alone, but from the way the truth finally had a name. A clear one. A loud one. On the porch, Ray's voice broke. "That's not me. You've got the wrong—" The cuffs clicked, metal on skin, reality locking in. Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth, shaking. Donna didn't smile. She just whispered, "Harold was right." The officers led Ray down the steps. The porch light caught his face for 1 second. No smile, no charm, just anger and panic. As they put him in the car, Ray turned his head toward the house and shouted, loud enough for the whole street, "Linda won't forgive you!" Evelyn flinched, because even with Ray in handcuffs, he was still trying to reach into her heart and twist the knife. The patrol car door slammed. The engine started. Blue and red lights washed over the snow one last time, then pulled away. The house went quiet again, but this quiet felt different. Not like the calm before a storm, like the calm after something finally broke. Donna sat beside Evelyn on the couch. Mark stood in the doorway, shaking, eyes red. Evelyn whispered, "What happens to Linda now?" Donna looked at her gently. Now she has to face the truth without him in her ear. Mark's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and went still. "It's Linda," he said. Evelyn's heart jumped. Mark swallowed, then handed the phone to Evelyn. On the screen was one line. "Mom, is it true?" Evelyn stared at Linda's message until the letters blurred. "Mom, is it true?" Her hands were still shaking from the sirens, from the knock, from hearing that name out loud on her own porch. Caleb Mercer. Evelyn took a slow breath and typed back. "Yes, it's true. The police took him tonight. Come tomorrow. Not alone. We'll talk." Donna watched her hit send. "Good," she said. "You set a boundary." The next morning a thin layer of snow covered the yard like the world was pretending nothing happened. Linda arrived at 10, eyes swollen, no makeup, hair pulled back. Pastor Jim walked her to the steps and stayed close, not to shame her, but to keep the truth from being twisted again. Evelyn opened the door and didn't step aside right away. Linda's voice shook. "Mom, I didn't know, I swear." Evelyn's chest hurt. "You knew enough to track me." Linda flinched. "He said it was safety." You knew enough to file for guardianship," Evelyn said steady, "without telling me." Linda's tears fell fast. "He said you'd lose everything. He said you didn't understand anymore." Evelyn nodded once, then said the line that made Linda finally look straight at her. "And you believed him more than you believed me." Linda covered her mouth and broke down. For a long moment, Evelyn didn't move, not to punish her, to protect her own heart. When Linda finally whispered, "What happens now?" Evelyn held up Harold's brass key in her palm. "Now I decide," she said. "You drop the petition. You sign a statement with my attorney about the pressure and the tracking. You cut contact with him. No calls, no visits, nothing." Linda nodded hard. "Yes." Evelyn's voice softened, but it didn't bend. "And if you ever try to take my rights again, you will lose me." Linda whispered, "I don't want to lose you." "Then choose me," Evelyn said. Weeks later, the court dismissed the emergency petition. The accounts were locked down. The house was protected by the trust Harold built. Ray, Caleb, was held on the Michigan warrant, and the financial records brought more consequences than his smile ever could. But what changed this family's destiny wasn't the arrest. It was Evelyn refusing to become bitter. She kept the house as a home. She made sure the grandkids would inherit stability, not a war. And she gave Linda one narrow path back, earned slowly, with honesty, not tears. In early spring, Evelyn sat on her porch swing with a mug of drip coffee warming her hands. Birds returned to the feeder. Mark fixed a loose board in the yard. Linda arrived with the kids and a casserole, walking up the steps like she finally understood what a mother is worth. Evelyn watched them and whispered, "We made it."